The arena is dark and full of theories. The reaping square was silent. 2,000 citizens of District 12 stood in roped sections. Girls on the left, boys on the right, divided by age. Peacekeepers in white uniforms lined the perimeter. The Justice Building loomed behind the stage where Effie Trinket stood in a pink wig and too bright dress, her hand hovering over the glass reaping ball. It was July 4th, 2 o'clock, 74 years since the dark days ended and the Hunger Games began. Effie's fingers closed on a slip of paper. She unfolded it with theatrical precision. Her voice echoed across the square through amplified speakers. Primrose Everdeen. The name hit like a gunshot. In the 16-year-old section, Katniss Everdeen's face went white. Her 12-year-old sister, blonde, 70 pounds, first year of eligibility with one slip in thousands, walked toward the stage. Katniss screamed, I volunteer as tribute." Peacekeepers parted. Prim stopped at the stage steps. Katniss swept her behind her body with one arm. "I volunteer as tribute," Katniss repeated. Her voice was steel. Effie blinked. District 12 hadn't produced a volunteer in living memory. "Lovely. And what's your name, dear?" "Katniss Everdeen." "I bet my buttons that was your sister. Don't want her to steal all the glory, do we?" Katniss said nothing, climbed the stage, stood beside Effie. The crowd was silent, not the polite applause the Capitol expected. Every person in the square touched 3 fingers to their lips, then held them out toward Katniss, the old District 12 gesture. A farewell to the dead. Effie cleared her throat, moved to the boys' reaping ball, drew a name. Peeta Mellark. Peeta was 16, the baker's son, broad shoulders, blonde hair, stocky from lifting 100-pound flour sacks. He stood in the 16-year-old section, face pale, staring at Katniss on stage. He took one step forward. "I volunteer." The voice came from the 18-year-old section, deep, certain. Gale Hawthorne stepped through the ropes. He was over 6 feet tall, lean muscle from 4 years hunting in the woods, dark hair and gray seam eyes. His jaw was set. He walked to the stage without looking at the crowd, climbed the steps, stood beside Katniss. Effie stared. 2 volunteers from District 12 and 1, reaping, unprecedented. "Well," she said, voice too bright, "what's your name?" 42 tesserae entries. His name in the bowl 42 times because he'd taken extra rations every year to feed his mother and 3 younger siblings after his father died in the mines. Effie gestured for Katniss and Gale to shake hands. Their eyes met. 4 years of hunting together in the Forbidden Woods. 4 years of synchronized communication in hand signals and glances. 4 years of keeping each other's families fed. Katniss's eyes asked the question, "Why?" Gale's jaw tightened. "Because I won't let you go alone." They shook hands. Gale's grip was strong, familiar. "Happy Hunger Games," Effie's voice was strained. "And may the odds be ever in your favor." The anthem played. Peacekeepers escorted them into the Justice Building. Behind them, the crowd remained silent. No applause, just the 3-finger salute, 2,000 hands raised in farewell. In the crowd, Peeta Mellark stood frozen. He'd been preparing himself to walk to that stage, to enter the arena with the girl he'd loved since he was 5 years old, to confess on national television that he'd burned 2 loaves of bread deliberately when he was 11, knowing his mother would beat him, just to throw them to a starving Katniss Everdeen behind the bakery. Now Gale Hawthorne, 6 feet tall, experienced hunter, Katniss's actual partner, stood where Peeta should be. Peeta's hands shook. He watched the peacekeepers lead Katniss and Gale away. The strategy he'd been building in his head, the love confession, the star-crossed lover's narrative, the romance that might earn sponsors, evaporated. Gale had taken that option away. Deliberately or not, he'd eliminated the only story that could have saved them. The Justice Building's velvet room was too large. Katniss sat on a couch, hands folded. Her mother and Prim entered first. Prim threw herself into Katniss's arms. "You can't go? You can't. I have to." Katniss held her sister, looked at her mother. The woman's face was already glazing over, the depression descending. The same collapse that happened when their father died. "Mom," Katniss's voice was sharp. "Don't do this. Don't leave. Prim needs you. You have to stay present. Promise me." Her mother nodded, barely, already retreating inside herself. Katniss turned to Prim. "Listen to me. Go to Gale's mother. Hazel will help. Trade the goat's milk and cheese. You know the customers at the Hob. You know what Mom taught you about healing. You'll survive." What about you? I'm coming back. You can't promise that. I'm promising anyway. Katniss pressed her forehead against Prim's. I'm coming back. Time. Prim clung tighter. Their mother had to pull her away. They left. Katniss sat alone until the next visitor. Peeta's father entered. The baker, middle-aged, kind-faced, wearing flour-dusted clothes. He held a package wrapped in paper. Katniss, he set the package on the table. Cookies, for the train, and, he hesitated. I'll look after your sister and mother, I promise. Whatever they need. Why? Because your father and I were friends, and because you volunteered for Prim the way I would have volunteered for my own sons. He paused. Gale's a good choice. If anyone can bring you home, it's him. He shouldn't have volunteered. Maybe. But he did. And now you have a partner you trust. That's more than most tributes get. He left. The next visitor was Madge Undersea, the mayor's daughter, Katniss's only friend outside of Gale. She held a small pin. This was my aunt's, Madge said. She was in the 50th Hunger Games with Haymitch. She didn't come home, but I want you to have it. The pin was gold, a mockingjay in flight. I can't. You can. And you will. Madge pressed it into Katniss's hand. It'll be your token, something from home. The final visitor was Gale. He entered the room and closed the door. They stared at each other. Why did you volunteer? Katniss asked. You know why. Say it. Because I'm not letting you go into that arena with a stranger. We hunt together. We fight together. That doesn't change because the Capitol put us on a stage. You have a family. Hazel, Rory, Vic, Posey. They need you. And Prim needs you. So we both come back. Only one person comes back, Gale. That's the rule. He stepped closer. Then we changed the rule. You can't change the Capitol's rules. Watch me. His voice was hard. I've spent 4 years watching kids get reaped, watching them march off and die for entertainment. I'm done watching. If I'm going into that arena, I'm doing it my way. And my way is with you, fighting people who deserve it, not each other. Katniss wanted to argue, wanted to tell him this was suicide, but she knew that tone, knew that look in his eyes. Gale had made his decision. We'll need a strategy, she said. We have one. Hunt them the way we hunt deer. Patient, precise, lethal. The peacekeeper opened the door. Time. Gale reached out, took Katniss's hand, squeezed once. See you on the train. Katniss sat alone with the mockingjay pin and the weight of what was coming. The train to the Capitol was luxury beyond anything District 12 could imagine. Velvet seats, crystal glasses, food in quantities that could feed a Seam family for weeks. Katniss and Gale sat in the dining car. Effie Trinket fussed over napkins and silverware. Haymitch Abernathy, District 12's only living victor, winner of the 50th Hunger Games 24 years ago, slouched at the head of the table with a bottle. Haymitch was 50 years old, gray-streaked blonde hair, permanently bloodshot eyes. He'd watched 23 years of District 12 tributes die, 46 kids in 23 years, every single one dead except him. He studied Katniss and Gale, really studied them, not the quick, dismissive glance he usually gave tributes before reaching for the bottle. You two hunt together, Haymitch said. Not a question. 4 years, Gale confirmed. You any good? We keep our families fed. I illegally. The fence is never on during the day. The peacekeepers know we hunt. They buy our game at the Hob. Haymitch's mouth twitched, almost a smile. You know how to kill. Deer, turkey, squirrels, fish. Katniss's voice was flat. Not people. You'll learn fast. Haymitch poured himself another drink. District 12 hasn't sent a pair this dangerous since. He stopped. Ever. We've never sent a pair this dangerous. What's our strategy? Gale asked. Don't die. That's not a strategy. It's the only one that matters. Haymitch leaned forward. But you want specifics? Fine. The careers are going to dismiss you. District 12. Coal miners. Poor. Weak. They always do. Use that. Look mediocre in training. Don't show your real skills until the private sessions. Score high enough to attract sponsors, but not so high the careers target you immediately. And in the arena? Katniss asked. You're hunters. You know forests. You know patience. The careers are city kids who've trained in gyms their whole lives. They've never been hungry, never foraged, never tracked game. The arena will probably be forest or rough terrain. Game makers like tributes to have somewhere to hide. That's your advantage. Don't fight them head on. Ambush. Traps. Attrition. What about sponsors? Gale asked. Haymitch's face hardened. That's the problem. Without Peeta, we don't have the love story. Caesar Flickerman can't sell you as, I don't know, the lethal pair, the hunters of 12. But that's competence, not sympathy. Capital audiences like romance. Tragedy. You two are just angry kids from the poorest district. That doesn't inspire sponsor money. So we're on our own, Katniss said. You're always on your own in the arena. Sponsors just make dying slower. Haymitch poured another drink. But here's what you do have. Each other. Most tributes are strangers to their district partner. You've worked together for 4 years. You communicate without talking. You trust each other. That's worth more than sponsor gifts. He raised his glass. To the most dangerous District 12 tributes in 74 years. May the odds be ever in your favor. Katniss and Gale exchanged a glance. For the first time since the reaping, something like hope flickered. They had Haymitch, sober, engaged, believing they could win. That was more than any District 12 tribute had gotten in 23 years. The capital appeared at dawn, towers of glass and steel, citizens in bright wigs and surgically altered faces. Excess everywhere while the district starved. Gale stared out the window. His jaw was tight. Look at them. Katniss followed his gaze. Capital citizens waving at the train, smiling, excited. These people would watch children die for entertainment in a week. They don't see us as human, Gale said quietly. We're just pieces in their game. Then we break the game. But we will. The train pulled into the station. Cameras flashed. Caesar Flickerman stood on the platform in a blue suit and blue hair, smiling his professional smile. Effie primped. Smile. Wave. The audience loves enthusiasm. Katniss and Gale stepped onto the platform. Didn't smile. Didn't wave. Just walked toward the waiting cars with the same expression they wore tracking deer in the woods. The capital audience loved it anyway. The stoic hunters. The grim determination. It wasn't romance, but it was compelling. The remake center was worse than the train. Katniss was stripped, scrubbed, waxed, and polished by a prep team who chattered about her interesting appearance like she was a doll. Cinna, her stylist, quiet and thoughtful with gold eyeliner, was the only one who treated her like a person. I'm sorry about the prep team, Cinna said. They mean well. They just don't understand what it's like outside the capital. They don't understand anything. No, they don't. Cinna held up a sketch. But I do. And I'm going to make sure everyone remembers you. The chariot outfit was fire. Literally. Black unitard with synthetic flames that flickered when she moved. A cape that trailed sparks. She would be the girl on fire. What about Gale? Katniss asked. Same concept. Dark. Dangerous. Fire. You're not lovers. You're hunters. Predators. I want the capital to see that. The opening ceremony happened at sunset. 12 chariots, 1 for each district. The tributes from Districts 1 and 2, the careers wore body armor and looked like warriors. District 11's tributes wore agricultural-themed costumes. District 3's wore circuitry. Then District 12's chariot rolled out. Katniss and Gale stood side by side, black outfits rippling with synthetic fire. Cinna had lit them just as the chariot entered the city circle. The flames roared to life. The crowd gasped. They didn't smile. Didn't wave. Just stood tall and let the fire burn. President Snow watched from his mansion balcony. Elderly, white-haired, cold eyes, he studied the District 12 tributes with the expression of a man who'd just spotted a problem. The chariot completed its circuit. The tributes dismounted. Cinna extinguished the flames. You were perfect, Cinna said. Katniss barely heard him. She was watching the career tributes. Cato and Clove from District 2. Marvel and Glimmer from District 1. They were watching her and Gale back. Not dismissively, not with the usual career arrogance toward District 12, with calculation, like hunters recognizing other hunters. Training started the next day. 24 tributes in a gymnasium filled with weapon stations, survival stations, obstacle courses. The head trainer explained the rules. 3 days of training, then private sessions with the game makers for individual scoring. You are forbidden from engaging in combat with other tributes, the trainer said. There are assistants at each station. Explore, learn, build your skills. You'll have plenty of time to kill each other in the arena. Katniss and Gale started at the plant identification station. An instructor showed them roots, berries, leaves. Katniss knew most from her father's teaching and 4 years in the woods. This one? The instructor held up a cluster of dark berries. Nightlock, Katniss said. 3 berries will kill a grown man in minutes. The instructor nodded, moved to the next sample. Across the room, the careers were at the sword station. Cato, massive, blonde, 18 years old from District 2, decapitated a dummy with one swing, clove through knives into targets from 20 yards, every blade finding the throat. Gale watched them. They're good. They've trained their whole lives for this. We've trained to survive. Different skill sets. Same outcome. Only one of us walks out. Then we make sure it's us. They moved to the camouflage station. Gale had the baker's son's skill. Years of decorating cakes translated to painting skin to match bark. Katniss learned from him. They painted their forearms to disappear against tree patterns. The careers noticed. Clove watched Gale's technique. Her eyes narrowed. On day 2, they went to the archery station. This was Katniss's domain. She picked up a bow, not as good as the one she'd made herself, but serviceable. Knocked an arrow. Hit the bullseye from 40 yards. The instructor handed her another arrow. She hit the same spot. And again. And again. 6 arrows in the bullseye. So close together they touched. Every tribute in the gymnasium stopped to watch. Glimmer, the District 1 girl, beautiful and deadly, picked up a bow. Tried to match Katniss, missed the target entirely. Her face flushed. Cato approached Gale at the snare station. You hunt? When I have to? You any good with that bow? She's better. I can see that. Cato studied Katniss. District 12's never sent anyone dangerous before. There's a first time for everything. Cato's eyes were calculating. You 2 partners? 4 years? Career Pack always looks for useful allies. We'll think about it. Cato walked away. Gale finished his snare, a foot trap that would snap shut on an ankle. The instructor's face went pale. That's designed to catch humans. It's designed to catch whatever steps in it. On day 3, Katniss and Gale rotated through stations. Fire-making, knots, sword work, neither was good with blades. Both were competent enough. Hand-to-hand combat, Gale was strong from years carrying game. Katniss was fast. They ate lunch alone. Watched the other tributes. Rue, the 12-year-old from District 11, small and quick, climbed the rope course like a squirrel. Thresh, the massive male from District 11, lifted weights that made the instructors nervous. Foxface, the clever girl from District 5, memorized plants and poisons. Rue's good, Katniss said quietly. She'll die in the bloodbath. Too small. Not if she runs. They all run. Most still die. Katniss said nothing. Rue reminded her of Prim. Blonde, small, gentle. The kind of person who shouldn't be in an arena. The kind of person the Hunger Games were designed to murder. Private sessions came on day 4. Each tribute got 15 minutes alone with the game makers to demonstrate their skills. The game makers would assign scores from 1 to 12. High scores meant dismissal. The tributes went in order. District 1 through District 12. Girls first. Katniss waited outside the gymnasium. Gale sat beside her. What are you going to show them? Gale asked. Archery? You? Maybe knife work. They'll be drunk by the time we go. District 12 always goes last. They stop paying attention. Then we make them pay attention. Katniss was called in. The gymnasium was empty except for the game makers sitting in a balcony overlooking the floor. 20 men and women in expensive clothes. Most were drinking. Seneca Crane, the head game maker, bearded and ambitious, gestured. Proceed. Katniss went to the archery station, set up targets at various distances. 20 yards, 40, 60. Hit the bullseye on each. The game makers barely looked. She knocked another arrow, aimed at the apple in the roast pig on the game maker's table. Released. The arrow punched through the apple, pinned it to the wall behind. Wine glasses shattered. Game makers jumped. Seneca Crane stared at her, fury and fascination warring on his face. Katniss gave a small bow. Thank you for your consideration. She walked out. Gale went in next. The game makers were buzzing. A tribute had just shot an arrow at their buffet. What would District 12's male do? Gale went to the trap station, built 3 snares in 10 minutes. Foot traps, neck snares, a deadfall that would crush anything that triggered it. The game makers watched. These weren't game traps. These were human traps. One game maker, older, military-bearing, leaned forward. You designed those yourself? Yes. Have you used them? On deer, turkeys. Haven't had occasion to use them on people. Yet. The game maker smiled. Not a friendly expression. Efficient. Gale demonstrated knife throwing. Hit 3 targets from 15 yards. Not Cloves level, but competent. Thank you, Seneca Crane said. His voice was thoughtful. Gale left, went back to his room on the 12th floor of the training center, waited for the scores. They were broadcast that evening. All tributes gathered in the common area to watch. Caesar Flickerman announced each score with his trademark enthusiasm. District 1, Marvel scored 9. Glimmer scored 9. District 2, Cato scored 10. Clove scored 10. District 11, Rue scored 7. Impressive for a 12-year-old. Thresh scored 10. Then District 12, Katniss Everdeen, Caesar announced. With a score of 11, the room went silent. 11 was nearly unprecedented. Only a handful of tributes in Hunger Games history had scored that high. Gale Hawthorne, with a score of 10, combined score of 20, 1, District 12 had just announced to every career tribute in the building that they were legitimate threats. Cato's face was stone. Clove's knives spun in her hands. Marvel and Glimmer exchanged glances. Haymitch appeared in the doorway. Well, that's going to make things interesting. Katniss and Gale sat on the balcony after, looked out at the Capitol's glittering lights. We're targets now, Katniss said. We were always targets. Now the careers know it. Cato's going to come for us. Let him. We'll be ready. Tomorrow was the interviews. Caesar Flickerman would interview each tribute for 3 minutes. This was the final chance to attract sponsors, to build a narrative the Capitol would invest in. Without Peeta's love confession, they had no narrative. Just 2 hunters from District 12 who'd scored too high and looked too dangerous. Haymitch joined them on the balcony. We need to talk strategy for tomorrow. The interviews. Caesar's going to try to make you likable, sympathetic. You need to give him something to work with. Like what? That's the problem. Haymitch rubbed his face. In a normal year, I'd tell you to be charming, funny, make the audience love you, but you two don't do charming. So what do we do? Haymitch was quiet for a long moment. Then, be honest. Caesar's going to ask why you volunteered, Gale. Tell him the truth. You wouldn't let your partner face the arena alone. The Capitol likes loyalty. They like the idea of tributes who fight together. It's not romance, but it's something. And me? Katniss asked. You volunteered for your sister. That's already out there. Caesar will lean into the protective older sister angle. Let him. Show them you're human, that you love someone. It makes you more than just a killer with a bow. What if we don't want to be sympathetic? Gale asked. What if we want them to be afraid? Haymitch stared at him. You want the Capitol to fear you? Why not? They should. We scored 11 and 10. We're the most dangerous tributes District 12 has ever sent. Let them know it. Fear doesn't generate sponsor money. We'll win without them. Haymitch's jaw worked. He looked like he wanted to argue. But something in Gale's face stopped him. The same look Haymitch had seen in his own mirror 24 years ago, after he'd watched his family die and realized the Capitol was the enemy. Fine, Haymitch said quietly. Be dangerous. But don't be stupid. You still need to survive long enough to use that danger. He left. Katniss and Gale sat in silence. You're scaring Haymitch, Katniss said. Good. Maybe he'll actually help us. He is helping us play the Capitol's game. I don't want to play. I want to break it. How? I don't know yet, but I will. The next day, Cinna dressed Katniss in a dress that shimmered like fire when she moved. Not literally burning this time, just fabric that caught light and made her look like a flame. You're going to be the girl on fire, Cinna said. Caesar will love it. Spin for him. Show them the dress. Let them see you're more than just a hunter. What if I don't want to be more? Because the Capitol needs a story. Give them one they can sell. Katniss looked at herself in the mirror. The girl staring back was beautiful. Dangerous. Nothing like the seam girl who hunted illegally to feed her family. I don't recognize myself, she said. Good. That's the point. You're not Katniss Everdeen from District 12 anymore. You're the girl on fire. Remember that when Caesar asks his questions. The interviews happened that night. All 24 tributes in a row. 3 minutes each. Caesar Flickerman in a purple suit and matching hair, charming and deadly in his ability to make tributes comfortable before they died. The careers went first. Cato flexed and promised a bloody show. Clove smiled and said she was excited to demonstrate what District 2 can do. Marvel and Glimmer played up their beauty and arrogance. Rue spoke quietly about missing home. The audience found her adorable. Then Katniss. She walked onto the stage. The dress shimmered. Caesar's eyes lit up. Katniss Everdeen, the girl on fire. My dear, you look absolutely stunning. Give us a twirl. She spun. The dress flared. The audience gasped and applauded. Caesar took her hand, led her to the chair. Now, you have quite a story already. You volunteered for your sister. That's extraordinary bravery. It was her first reaping. One slip in thousands. I couldn't let her go. And you believe you can win? I have to. I promised her I'd come home. That's beautiful. And what about your district partner, Gale Hawthorne? You two hunted together for years. 4 years. Having someone you trust in the arena. Katniss chose her words carefully. Gale's the only person I trust completely. We've kept each other alive for 4 years in the woods. That doesn't change because we're in the capital. How romantic. It's not romance, it's survival. The audience shifted. That wasn't the answer they wanted. Caesar adjusted smoothly. Well, survival is certainly important. And speaking of survival, you scored an 11. That's remarkable. What did you do to earn that score? I showed them I'm dangerous. Dangerous? That's a strong word. I've been hunting since I was 11 years old. I know how to track, how to kill, how to survive. The game makers needed to know that. Caesar's smile was fixed. Well, the capital certainly knows now. Ladies and gentlemen, Katniss Everdeen, the girl on fire. Applause. Katniss left the stage, waited backstage while the next few tributes went. Then Gale. He wore all black. Cinna had dressed him like a shadow, dark, lethal, the opposite of Katniss's fire. He walked onto the stage without smiling. Caesar studied him. Gale Hawthorne, welcome. That's quite an entrance. Very serious. This is serious. Well, yes, of course. But we like to have a little fun, too. Tell me, why did you volunteer? Peeta Mellark's name was called. You could have let him go. Gale looked directly at the camera. I volunteered because Katniss is my partner. We've hunted together for 4 years. We trust each other. I wasn't going to let her face this arena with a stranger who didn't know how to survive. That's very noble. But Gale, you must know. Only one tribute can win. What happens if you both make it to the end? We'll figure it out. That's not really an answer. It's the only answer I have. Caesar shifted. You scored a 10. Quite impressive. What did you show the game makers? Traps, snares, how to kill efficiently. Efficiently? That sounds calculated. It is calculated. I don't waste arrows or time. I track. I trap. I eliminate threats. That's what I've done for 4 years in the woods. That's what I'll do in the arena. The audience was silent. This wasn't charm. This wasn't sympathy. This was a hunter, explaining how he hunted. Caesar recovered. Well, District 12 has certainly sent us 2 formidable tributes this year. Ladies and gentlemen, Gale Hawthorne. How'd I do? He asked. You terrified them. Good. Haymitch found them in the viewing room after all interviews finished. You two are disasters. What do you mean? Katniss asked. I mean you came across like killers, not sympathetic survivors. Killers. The capital doesn't sponsor killers from poor districts. They sponsor careers who are trained to kill, or they sponsor underdogs who make them cry. You're neither. Then what are we? Gale asked. Haymitch stared at him. You're something the capital hasn't seen before. 2 tributes from District 12 who aren't begging for mercy, who aren't grateful for the opportunity, who are looking at this arena like it's just another forest, and the other tributes are just another deer. Is that bad? I don't know. But it's sure as hell not what they expected. That night, Katniss couldn't sleep. She went to the roof. Found Gale already there. Can't sleep either? She asked. Keep thinking about the arena. About what's coming. Tomorrow they would enter the arena. 24 tributes. Only one could win. The rule was absolute. Gale, Katniss said quietly, what Caesar asked, about if we both make it to the end. What are we going to do? I told you. We'll figure it out. That's not good enough. We need a plan. The plan is to survive long enough that it matters. Everything else is noise. One of us is going to have to kill the other. Gale turned to look at her. No, the Capitol won't allow two winners. Then we make them. How? I don't know yet. But Katniss, I'm not killing you, and you're not killing me. Whatever happens in that arena, we're both walking out or neither of us is. That's suicide. Maybe. Or maybe it's the only way to win. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him the Capitol's rules were absolute. But looking at his face, the stubborn set of his jaw, the anger burning behind his eyes, she knew he'd already decided. Gale Hawthorne wasn't going to play the Hunger Games by the Capitol's rules. He was going to break them. And Katniss was going to help him. The launch room was underground, white walls, clinical lights, a circular metal plate in the floor. The launch platform that would lift tributes into the arena. Katniss stood on the plate in her arena outfit, dark green jacket. Sturdy boots, pants with many pockets. Cinna had designed it for forest terrain. 60 seconds, a voice said over the intercom. Cinna stood at the edge of the room. Remember what Haymitch said. Get away from the cornucopia. Don't fight at the bloodbath. Find water. Find shelter. Stay alive. What if there's a bow? Then you grab it and run. Don't stay to fight. Gale will be looking for supplies. You coordinate and disappear into the forest. That's the plan. What if? You're the best archer I've ever seen. Gale's the best hunter. You have each other. That's more than anyone else in that arena has. 30 seconds. Cinna stepped back. The glass cylinder descended around Katniss, sealing her onto the platform. She could see Cinna's lips moving. Good luck. But couldn't hear through the glass. The platform began rising. Darkness. Then light. Then the arena. Katniss blinked against sudden sunlight, stood on a metal plate surrounded by other plates in a circle. 24 tributes. In the center, the golden cornucopia, massive horn of plenty overflowing with supplies. Backpacks arranged in rings radiating outward, weapons at the cornucopia's mouth. The best equipment at the center, junk at the edges. Beyond the cornucopia forest, dense trees, rocky terrain, mountains in the distance. A lake glittered to the east, exactly what Haymitch predicted. Forest arena, Katniss's territory. She scanned the tribute circle, found Gale 4 plates to her left. Their eyes met. He tilted his head fractionally toward the forest, the signal they used when a deer was in sight and they needed to coordinate without sound. Katniss looked at the cornucopia, no bow visible at the mouth, but there, 10 meters from the horn, half buried under a large pack, a familiar curved shape, a bow. 60 seconds on the plates. If you stepped off early, the landmines beneath would detonate. 60 seconds to assess, to plan, to prepare for the chaos. Katniss studied the other tributes. Cato stood 3 plates away, massive and ready. Clove's hands were already flexing, preparing to grab her knives. Marvel and Glimmer flanked the cornucopia from opposite sides. The careers were positioned perfectly to control the center. Thresh from District 11 stood on the far side. Huge, calm. He was staring at the wheat field beyond the forest, his territory. Rue, small, quick, 12 years old, was scanning the tree line. She'd run. Smart. The countdown appeared on a screen above the cornucopia. Claudius Templesmith's voice boomed across the arena. Ladies and gentlemen, let the 74th Hunger Games begin. 60, 59, 58. Katniss's muscles tensed. She calculated distances. The bow was 10 meters. Gale was closer to the mid-ring packs. If she went for the bow, he'd need to grab supplies. Then they'd both run. 40, 39, 38. Gale's eyes found hers again. He pointed subtly at an orange backpack in the mid-ring. Then at the forest behind her. His meaning was clear. I grab supplies, you grab the bow. We meet at the tree line. 20, 19, 18. Katniss nodded. Once. The same nod they used before taking a shot at a deer. 10, 9, 8. Her breathing slowed. Hunter's calm, the same state she entered when tracking game. Time seemed to stretch. 3, 2, 1. The gong sounded. 24 tributes exploded off their plates. Katniss sprinted toward the bow. Gale's longer stride carried him past smaller tributes toward the mid-ring. He grabbed an orange backpack, a coil of wire, a hunting knife. Katniss reached the bow. A District 9 male lunged for the same weapon. She was faster, snatched it and the half-full quiver beneath. The boy grabbed for her arm. Gale appeared from nowhere, threw the boy aside with one arm. The boy stumbled, fell, scrambled away. "Go," Gale shouted. They ran. Behind them, the bloodbath erupted. Cato's sword opened the District 6 male from shoulder to hip. Blood sprayed. Clove's knives flew. 1, 2, 3, finding throats with surgical precision. Marvel's spear pinned the District 10 girl to the ground. She thrashed once, went still. Glimmer grabbed a bow, the premium one at the cornucopia's mouth, and fired at a fleeing tribute. Missed. She wasn't as good as the weapon deserved. Katniss and Gale hit the tree line, 50 meters, 75. They didn't stop until the forest swallowed them, and the sounds of slaughter faded behind. They ran for 15 minutes. Katniss led. She knew forests knew how to move through undergrowth without leaving tracks. Gale followed close, carrying the pack and supplies. Finally, Katniss stopped, held up a hand. They listened. Birds, wind in leaves, water somewhere to the north, a stream maybe a quarter-mile away. No human sounds, no cannons yet. Those would come after the initial bloodbath ended. "Let me see what you got," Katniss said. Gale opened the orange backpack. Inside, a sleeping bag, a coil of thin wire, waterproof matches, a water bottle, dried fruit, crackers, a small first aid kit, a pair of night vision glasses, and iodine tablets for water purification. "Good haul," Katniss said. "Wire's useful. You can make snares. How many arrows?" She checked the quiver. 12. "I'll need to make more or recover these after shots. We need water first. Then we assess." They moved north toward the stream sound. Found it 20 minutes later, a clear creek running over rocks. Katniss knelt, filled the water bottle, added iodine tablets. They'd need to wait 30 minutes for purification. But the water source was crucial. "Good location," Gale said. He was studying the terrain with a tactical eye. "Dense tree cover. Water nearby. High ground to the east. We can build a concealed camp on that ridge and have a view of approaches. Too close to the cornucopia. 2 kilometers, maybe. The careers will patrol this area. Then we move further out. 3, 4 kilometers. Establish a base camp. Scout back to observe the careers. Map their patterns." Katniss nodded. This was their element. Tracking. Patience. Using the terrain. The first cannon fired. Then another. Then a cluster of them. 11 total. 11 dead in the initial bloodbath. 13 tributes remained. 11, Gale said quietly. "Same as usual." "Rue?" They moved further into the forest. Found the ridge Gale had mentioned. A elevated position with thick pine coverage and clear sightlines down to a natural movement corridor below. They could see anyone approaching long before being seen. Gale immediately started building shelter. He'd done this countless times in the woods beyond District 12, lean-to construction using deadfall and pine branches. Camouflaged with forest debris, within 2 hours they had a structure that was invisible from 20 feet away. Katniss scouted the perimeter, found Katniss roots, her namesake plant, edible tubers her father had taught her to identify, found wintergreen for pain relief, spotted a squirrel and considered shooting it, but the bow's sound would give away their position. Not worth it yet. She returned to camp. Gale had set 3 snare lines on likely approach paths, foot traps designed to catch and hold. If a tribute stumbled into one, they'd know immediately. "We're set for now," Gale said. "Shelter, water, defense. Next is intelligence. On the careers. On everyone. We need to know who died in the bloodbath, who's left, where they are. The careers will control the cornucopia. We need to know their strength." That night, they watched the sky. At dusk, the capital seal appeared projected on the clouds. Then the faces of the dead. District 3, both tributes. District 4, the female. District 6, both. District 8, the male. District 9, both. District 10, the female. 11 dead. 13 remained. The career pack, Cato, Clove, Marvel, Glimmer, had survived. Thresh and Rue from District 11, both alive. The tributes from Districts 1, 2, 7, 8, 10, and 12. Foxface from District 5. "The careers have the cornucopia," Gale said. "They'll have set up camp there. Probably activated the mines around the supply pyramid. The District 3 male reactivates those in most games. We can't assault them directly. We don't need to. We outlast them. They've never gone hungry. They can't forage. We wait for them to make mistakes. How long? Days. Maybe a week. Haymitch said the game makers won't let this drag. They'll drive tributes together with fire or mutations. But for now, we wait. Gale moved through the forest toward the cornucopia at dawn, the time when guards would be sleepiest. He moved like a ghost. Years of hunting had taught him to place feet silently, to freeze at the slightest sound, to become part of the forest. He got within 200 meters of the cornucopia, found a concealed position in dense undergrowth, watched. The career camp was exactly as expected. 4 tributes, Cato, Clove, Marvel, Glimmer, sitting around the Golden Horn. A supply pyramid sat 20 meters away, surrounded by reactivated landmines. The District 3 male had done his work before dying. The careers looked comfortable. Too comfortable. They had sleeping bags, food, weapons. Cato sharpened his sword. Clove threw knives at a tree, practicing. Marvel and Glimmer were eating from a large backpack. No sentries, no watch rotation. They were confident, arrogant. Gale memorized everything. The mine perimeter, the supply distribution, the fact that their water came from bottles. They hadn't located the stream yet. Then he withdrew. Silent. Invisible. He reported back to Katniss at their camp. 4 careers, no discipline. They're treating this like a camping trip. The supplies are protected by mines, but they're not guarding anything else. They've never faced resistance from district tributes before. Then we teach them. How? Gale's eyes were hard. We destroy their supplies, make them hunt for food, force them into the forest where we have advantage. The mines. I'll figure out the mines. Katniss studied him. Haymitch said to avoid direct engagement. This isn't direct engagement. This is area denial. We remove their supply advantage. They'll starve or have to forage. Either way, they're playing our game. When? Tonight. I need to scout the mine placement first. But tonight, she'd spotted a rabbit warren that morning. She approached downwind, moving slowly. The bow was unfamiliar, not as good as her homemade weapon, but functional. She waited 30 minutes for a rabbit to emerge. When it did, she took the shot. 1 arrow. Clean kill. She field-dressed it, brought it back to camp. They couldn't risk a fire. Smoke would give away their position. They ate the meat raw. It wasn't pleasant, but it was protein. I saw Rue, Katniss said while they ate. In the trees. She was watching the career camp from the canopy. Did she see you? No, she's good. Moves through branches like a squirrel. She's lasted 2 days. That's more than 11 other tributes managed. Gale said nothing. He was checking the wire, planning trap configurations. As the sun set, they prepared. Gale would execute the supply destruction. Katniss would provide overwatch from an elevated position with her bow. If anything went wrong, she'd cover his retreat. The plan was simple. Gale would create diversionary fires at 3 locations around the career camp. While the careers investigated, he'd trigger the mine chain around the supplies. The explosion would destroy everything, then withdraw in the chaos. Simple, dangerous, necessary. They moved out at full dark. Katniss took position in a tree 300 meters from the cornucopia, with clear sight lines to the supply pyramid. Gale circled the career camp, using the woods as concealment. He set the first fire 500 meters west, dry deadfall stacked with green branches to create thick smoke. Used the waterproof matches. The fire caught. Smoke billowed. At the cornucopia, Cato stood. What the hell is that? Fire, Marvel said. West side. Could be tributes. Or game maker hazard. Cato grabbed his sword. Marvel, Glimmer, check it out. Clove and I stay with supplies. 2 careers gone. Gale set the second fire to the north. More smoke. Clove spotted it. Another fire. That's not random, Cato said. Someone's trying to draw us off. But he didn't know where the attack would come from. Couldn't. Gale had positioned the fires to create maximum confusion. Gale circled to the east. He'd studied the mine perimeter for hours. Knew the spacing. Knew which mines protected the approach to the supply pyramid. He couldn't disarm them. Didn't have the expertise. But he didn't need to disarm them. He needed to trigger them. He found a position 70 meters from the supplies. Elevated ground, clear sightline. He couldn't see the mines themselves. They were buried, but he knew they'd reactivated. The mines used motion and pressure sensors, but they could also be triggered by projectiles. Gale picked up a rock, threw it at the supply pyramid. The rock hit a backpack on the pile, bounced off. Nothing. He threw another. Hit the same spot. The mines didn't trigger. He'd need something with more force, something that would impact the minefield perimeter, not the supplies themselves. Then he saw it. Hanging from the supply pyramid, a bag of apples, the sponsor gift that had arrived earlier for the careers, suspended by a string. Perfect target. He needed a ranged weapon. Didn't have one. But Katniss did. He made a bird call. 4 notes, the mockingjay melody Rue used. Katniss heard it from her overwatch position. Looked toward his location. He pointed at the apple bag. Made a shooting gesture. Katniss understood immediately. Knocked an arrow. Aimed. The shot was difficult. 300 meters. Partial obstruction. Low light. But she'd made harder shots. She released. The arrow flew. Arced. Struck the apple bag dead center. The bag split. Apples tumbled down, rolling across the minefield perimeter. The first mine detonated. Then the second. Then a chain reaction. Mines triggering mines in a cascade of explosions that ripped through the supply pyramid, like sequential lightning strikes. The blast wave hit the careers. Cato was thrown backward. Clove screamed. Backpacks exploded. Food vaporized. Weapons scattered. The entire supply cache, everything the careers had claimed from the cornucopia, destroyed in seconds. Katniss and Gale didn't wait to watch. They withdrew immediately, moved through the forest with practiced coordination. Behind them, the careers' shouts echoed. They reached their camp an hour later, both breathing hard, both aware of what they'd just accomplished. That was insane, Katniss said. That was necessary. Gale's face was grim. Now they're hungry. Now they have to forage. Now they're in our world. A cannon fired. Single shot. Someone died, Katniss said. But who? They'd find out at nightfall when the faces appeared in the sky. That night's projection showed one face, the District 8 female. Not a career, probably killed by Thresh or Foxface, or caught in a game-maker hazard. 12 tributes remained. Day 3 brought consequences. Katniss and Gale watched from concealed positions as the careers assessed their situation. The supply pyramid was gone. They had whatever they'd been carrying personally. Weapons, some water, minimal food. Cato was furious. He grabbed Marvel by the throat. You said you checked the perimeter. I did. There was nothing. Then how did someone trigger the mines? Cato threw him down. District 12. Had to be. The hunters. They're the only ones smart enough. We find them, Clove said. Her knives were out. We hunt them down. With what supplies? Glimmer asked. Her voice was scared. We have nothing. No food. No shelter. We're careers. Cato snarled. We hunt. We kill. That's what we do. District 12 thinks they're clever? We'll show them what real hunters look like. The careers organized a hunting party. All 4 of them. They left the cornucopia and entered the forest. Gale and Katniss tracked them from a distance, watched their formation. The careers moved like city people in the woods, loud, careless, leaving obvious trails. Cato led with his sword out. Clove, flanked with knives ready, Marvel and Glimmer trailed behind. They're looking for us, Katniss whispered. Let them look. We stay ahead, stay invisible. But the careers had numbers. They could spread out, cover more ground. And they were desperate now. Hunger would make them aggressive. On day 4, the careers found Rue. Katniss and Gale heard the commotion from their camp, shouting, movement in the canopy. They moved toward the sound. They arrived too late. Rue was caught in a net. Career trap. Marvel stood below with his spear. The 12-year-old girl was struggling, trying to cut through the netting. Please, Rue said. Please don't. Marvel threw the spear. It caught Rue in the stomach. She gasped. The net swayed. Katniss's arrow took Marvel in the throat before conscious thought. Pure instinct. A child was dying. The killer was in range. She shot. Marvel went down. Clove spun, searching for the shooter. Katniss was already moving, pulling Gale with her. They melted into the forest. Behind them, Cato's roar. District 12. I'm going to kill you both. You shot Marvel, Gale said. He killed Rue. You revealed our position. They know we're in this sector now. I don't care. She was 12. Katniss's voice broke. She reminded me of Prim. Gale's face softened. I know. But now we're hunted. The careers won't stop. 2 cannons fired. Marvel. Rue. 10 tributes remained. That night sky showed their faces. Marvel from District 1. Rue from District 11. The little girl who'd survived 4 days through cunning and speed. Dead in a net. Katniss sat in their camp and felt something crack inside. This wasn't hunting. This was murder. Children murdering children for the capital's entertainment. We have to win, she said quietly. We will. No, you don't understand. We have to win so we can destroy them. The game makers. The capital. Everyone who makes this happen year after year. Saw the same rage in her eyes that he'd been carrying since his father died in the mines. Then we win, he said, and we make sure they regret ever putting us in this arena. Days 5 through 9 became a forest war. The careers hunted. Gale and Katniss stayed ahead through superior woodcraft and trap systems. Gale's snares caught Glimmer on day 6. She stepped into a foot trap near a water source. Screamed. Cato and Clove came running. By the time they freed her, her ankle was shattered. She couldn't walk. The careers carried her for a day. Then Cato made a decision. One tribute who couldn't move was dead weight. He killed her himself. One sword thrust. Quick, professional, brutal. Glimmer's cannon fired. 9 tributes remained. Foxface, the clever District 5 girl, died on day 7. She ate nightlock berries, mistaking them for safe fruit. An accident, or possibly intentional. The arena broke people in different ways. 8 tributes remained. Thresh killed Clove on day 8. The massive District 11 male caught her near his wheat field. She'd thrown knives at him. Missed. Thresh crushed her skull with a rock, avenging Rue. Clove's cannon fired. 7 tributes remained. The career pack was down to 1. Cato, the strongest fighter, alone and furious. On day 9, the game makers forced confrontation. Fire. Katniss woke to the smell of smoke. Looked up. Saw orange glow through the trees. The forest was burning. Move. Gale grabbed the pack. They ran. The fire chased them, moving too fast, too deliberately. Game maker fire, designed to drive tributes together. Fireballs shot from the trees. One grazed Katniss's leg. She stumbled. Dale pulled her up. Keep moving. They broke from the trees at the lake. 5 other tributes emerged simultaneously. Cato, Thresh, Foxface's district partner from 5, and 2 tributes Katniss barely recognized. Everyone froze. 8 tributes, standing on the lakeshore. The fire behind them, nowhere to run. Cato saw Katniss and Gale, his eyes lit with murderous recognition. You. He charged, sword out. Cato was fast for his size. Massive muscle trained his whole life for this moment. Katniss raised her bow, 20 meters, easy shot. She aimed for his chest, and a tribute from District 7 crashed into her from the side. They went down in a tangle. The bow skittered away. Gale intercepted Cato, knife versus sword. Impossible match. Cato's sword came down in a massive overhead swing. Gale rolled. The blade bit earth where his head had been. Thresh charged into the melee, grabbed the District 5 male and threw him into the lake. The boy surfaced, flailing. Mutations erupted from the water, wolf-like creatures with dead tributes' eyes. They dragged him under. His cannon fired. 7 tributes remained. Katniss fought the District 7 girl. They grappled on the shore. The girl was strong, desperate. She got hands around Katniss's throat, squeezed. Katniss's vision tunneled. She reached for anything, found a rock, brought it up, struck the girl's temple. Once, twice, 3 times, the girl went limp. Her cannon fired. 6 tributes remained. Gale and Cato were still fighting. Gale was faster, but Cato was stronger, better trained. The sword came in horizontal sweeps. Gale couldn't get close with the knife. Katniss found her bow, knocked an arrow. Gale, down. Gale dropped flat. Katniss released. The arrow took Cato in the shoulder. He roared, spun toward her, charged. She shot again, hit his thigh. He kept coming. 3rd arrow. This one caught him in the neck. Cato stumbled, fell to one knee. Blood poured from the wound. He tried to stand. Couldn't. Collapsed. His cannon fired. 5 tributes remained. The remaining tributes, the District 10 male and another Katniss didn't recognize, fled into the forest. Thresh stood at the wheat field's edge, watching. He nodded once at Katniss and Gale, respect between hunters, then disappeared into his territory. 4 tributes remained, but in practice, 3 factions, Gale and Katniss, Thresh, and 2 tributes hunting alone. The game makers would force final confrontation soon. Day 10 started with mutations. The wolf creatures from the lake emerged from the forest at dawn. Dozens of them. They hunted the remaining tributes systematically. The District 10 male died first, torn apart in the wheat field. His screams lasted 20 seconds. His cannon fired. 3 tributes remained. The wolves chased the last solo tribute, a girl from District 8, straight into Thresh's territory. Thresh killed her with a rock. Then the wolves came for him. Thresh fought. Massive strength, brutal efficiency. He killed 3 wolves before they overwhelmed him. His cannon fired. 2 tributes remained. Katniss and Gale stood at the cornucopia. The golden horn sat empty behind them. The wolves circled but didn't attack. The game makers were waiting. Building tension. Then Claudius Templesmith's voice boomed across the arena. Attention tributes! The regulations requiring a single victor have been suspended. From now on, 2 victors may be crowned if both originate from the same district. This will be the only announcement. Good luck. And may the odds be ever in your favor. The wolves vanished. Dissolved into mist. Gone. Katniss and Gale looked at each other. They're letting us both win, Katniss said. Why? Because we're good television, the Hunters of 12. Partners who survive together. It's a good story. Or it's a trap. Either way, Katniss lowered her bow. We won. But the silence that followed felt wrong. The game makers had never allowed 2 victors before. Why now? The answer came an hour later. Claudius Templesmith's voice again. Greetings to the final contestants of the 74th Hunger Games. The earlier revision has been revoked. Closer examination of the rulebook has disclosed that only 1 winner may be allowed. Good luck, and may the odds be ever in your favor. The revocation was immediate, absolute. 2 tributes, 1 winner. Katniss and Gale stood 20 feet apart, both armed, both exhausted, both aware of what the Capitol was demanding. They want us to kill each other, Katniss said. I know. For entertainment, I know. Gale looked at her. 4 years of partnership. 4 years of trust. 4 years of keeping each other alive. He made his decision. He dropped his knife, sat down on the ground, looked directly at the nearest camera. No, I'm not killing you. Not for them. Not for anyone. His voice was loud, clear, meant for the microphones. You want a show? You want entertainment? Figure it out yourself. I'm done playing. Katniss understood. This was the moment Gale had been building towards since the reaping. The refusal. The line he wouldn't cross. She dropped her bow, sat down beside him. What are you doing? The game maker's voice crackled over the speakers. Not Claudius. Someone panicking. We're not playing anymore, Katniss said to the cameras. You put us in this arena. You made us kill children. We did what we had to do to survive. But we're not killing each other. That's not survival. That's just murder. And we're done. Silence. The arena held its breath. In the game maker control room, Seneca Crane's face was white. President Snow watched from his mansion via feed. His expression was carved from ice. Kill them both, Snow said. Sir, the audience, they're rioting in the Capitol. The betting houses are in chaos. If we kill both tributes, then crown them both. Snow's voice was soft, deadly. But understand this, Seneca. You have created a problem, and I will expect you to solve it. Claudius Templesmith's voice returned, strained. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to present the victors of the 74th Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen and Gale Hawthorne, from District 12. The hovercraft descended at sunset. Katniss and Gale sat on the ground at the cornucopia, still holding their weapons, watching it approach. Neither spoke. 10 days in the arena had stripped conversation to essentials. A ladder dropped. Peacekeepers descended. Not escorts. Armed guards. On your feet, the lead peacekeeper said. They stood, climbed the ladder. The hovercraft interior was sterile white. Medical personnel waited with stretchers. Katniss's leg wound from the fireball needed treatment. Gale had cuts, bruises, exhaustion. But the doctors' faces were wrong. Not celebration. Fear. They were sedated before they could ask questions. Katniss woke in a hospital bed. White room. Soft sheets. Her leg was bandaged, the burn treated. An IV fed clear fluid into her arm. She tried to sit up. Easy. A doctor appeared. Middle-aged woman. Capital accent. You've been through trauma. Your body needs rest. You'll see him soon. When? When you're cleared medically. The doctor's smile was professional. Empty. Rest now. You're safe. Safe. The word tasted like a lie. 3 days passed in the hospital. Katniss was examined, treated, fed rich capital food that made her stomach hurt. She saw no one except doctors and silent attendants. No Haymitch, no Effie, no Gale. On the 4th day, they brought her to the Remake Center, the same prep team that had waxed and polished her before the games. They worked in silence now, no chatter, no excitement. Cinna appeared when they finished. His gold eyeliner was perfect as always, but his eyes were tired. Cinna, what's happening? You're being prepared for the final interview with Caesar, you and Gale. It's mandatory for victors. Where's Gale? Being prepared separately. Cinna lowered his voice. Katniss, listen carefully. What you did in the arena, sitting down, refusing to fight. The Capitol is very angry. President Snow is very angry. You embarrassed them on national television. We survived. You defied them. There's a difference. Cinna's hands worked quickly, styling her hair. The interview tonight is your chance to fix this, to give them a narrative they can accept. Do you understand? What narrative? Say you were desperate, confused. The stress of the arena made you irrational. Say you would have fought eventually, but the rule change came first. Give them anything except the truth, which is that you consciously chose to defy the Capitol's authority. And if I don't? Cinna's face was grim. Then people you love will die. Your mother. Prim. Gale's family. Haymitch. The Capitol doesn't need a reason. They just need you to step out of line. Katniss felt ice in her chest. They'd kill children? They'd been killing children for 74 years. What's a few more? The interview stage was the same one where Caesar Flickerman had interviewed them before the games. But the atmosphere was different. Tighter. The Capitol audience filled the theater, but their cheers sounded forced. Peacekeepers lined the walls, more than usual. Caesar sat in his chair. Blue suit tonight, blue hair. His smile was trademark perfect, but his eyes were watchful. Ladies and gentlemen, Caesar's voice boomed. Our victors of the 74th Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen and Gale Hawthorne. Applause. Katniss and Gale walked onto the stage. Gale wore a black suit. Katniss wore a yellow dress that Cinna had designed to look innocent. Soft, non-threatening. They sat. Caesar beamed at them. Well, what a games. What a finish. I don't think anyone expected that conclusion. Tell me, what were you thinking in those final moments? Katniss opened her mouth, remembered Cinna's warning, started to construct the lie. Gale spoke first. We were thinking the Capitol wanted us to murder each other for entertainment, and we refused. The theater went silent. Caesar's smile froze. Well, I think it was more complicated than that, wasn't it? The stress of the arena, the confusion of the rule changes. There was no confusion. Gale's voice was hard. The rules were clear. One victor. They wanted us to kill each other. We said no. Gale. Katniss touched his arm. Warning. He ignored her, looked directly at the camera. The Hunger Games are designed to make us kill each other, to show the districts we're powerless. That we'll do anything the Capitol demands. But we're not powerless. And we won't kill each other just because you tell us to. Caesar was sweating. That's an interesting perspective. But surely you understand the games are about survival, about control. Gale stood. They're about the Capitol controlling the districts through fear, through making us watch our children die. We've watched for 74 years. We're done watching. Put herself between Gale and the guards. What Gale means, she said quickly, is that we're grateful to be alive. Grateful the Capitol allowed both of us to win. The arena was difficult, and we made choices based on survival, and we're thankful for the Capitol's mercy in changing the rules. It was a terrible lie. Everyone in the theater knew it. But she'd said the words, given them the out. Caesar seized it. Yes, exactly. The capital's mercy. Our generous game makers saw two tributes who'd fought so bravely and decided both deserved to win. A happy ending. The audience applauded. Weakly. The narrative was paper thin, but it was something. President Snow watched from his mansion study. Seneca Crane stood before him, trembling. "They're calling it mercy," Crane said. "The story is containable. We can." "It's not containable." Snow's voice was soft. Every district watched two tributes sit down and refuse orders on live television. The boy spoke about control and fear, and districts being powerless. "You've handed the rebellion its spark, Seneca." "Sir, I can fix this. The victory tour. We'll script it carefully. Show the districts that these two are grateful compliant. The victory tour will make it worse." Two defiant tributes paraded through every district, standing on stages where children are reaped. "You think the districts won't see what they represent? What do you want me to do?" Snow was quiet for a long moment. Then, "The quarter quell is next year, the 75th Games. We'll correct this mistake then. For now, let them have their victory. Let them feel safe. Fear works best when it comes after hope." He gestured dismissal. Crane left. Snow sat alone in his study, the scent of roses thick in the air, and began planning. The victory tour started 1 month later. Katniss and Gale were required to visit every district, give scripted speeches thanking the capital, smile for cameras, show the districts that winners were grateful, compliant citizens. The tour was a disaster from the first stop. District 11 came first. Thresh and Rue's home, the district that had lost both its tributes. Katniss and Gale stood on a stage in the square where Rue had been reaped. Thousands of citizens watched, agricultural workers forced to attend. Katniss was supposed to read a prepared speech. Thank the capital, express sorrow for Thresh and Rue's deaths, move on. She started reading, got 3 sentences in, stopped. "I can't do this." She looked at Gale. He nodded. Katniss folded the prepared speech, looked at the crowd. "Rue was 12 years old. She reminded me of my sister. She was kind and smart, and she knew plants, and she survived 4 days through cleverness. Then Marvel killed her with a spear, because the capital put them in an arena and told them to fight." Effie was hissing from offstage. The peacekeepers were moving. Thresh avenged her. He killed Marvel. Then he killed Clove. Then the game maker's mutations killed him. Good people died in that arena. Children died. And the capital wants us to stand here and be grateful about it. An old man in the crowd, 3 fingers to his lips, held them out toward the stage. The District 11 salute. Then another person. Then another. Within seconds, thousands of hands were raised. Silent. Defiant. The peacekeepers opened fire. Not on Katniss and Gale. On the crowd. 3 people fell. The rest scattered. Screaming. Chaos. Gale grabbed Katniss, pulled her off stage. Effie and Haymitch were there, white-faced. "What have you done?" Effie's voice was shrill. "You were supposed to read the speech. Now people are dead." People were already dead. Gale said, "Rue, Thresh, 46 tributes before them. 3 more doesn't change the count. You've started a rebellion," Haymitch said quietly. "Good." The tour continued. Each district was worse than the last. In District 8, the textile workers rioted after Katniss's speech. In District 7, the lumberjacks went on strike. In District 3, someone bombed a peacekeeper barracks. The capital's response was brutal. Mass arrests, public executions. The districts learned what happened when you defied authority. But they kept defying, because Gale and Katniss had shown it was possible. 2 tributes from the poorest district had looked at the capital's games and said no. And survived. That changed the calculation. Changed everything. Back in District 12, Katniss found Peeta Mellark waiting at her house. The baker's son she barely knew. The boy who would have been in the arena if Gale hadn't volunteered. "I need to talk to you," Peeta said. They sat on her porch. Peeta had changed in the month since the reaping. Thinner, harder-eyed. He'd been organizing in District 12 while she was gone. "What you did in the arena," Peeta said. "Refusing to kill each other, that meant something. People here saw it. They're ready to fight. Fight with what? We have no weapons, no training. The capital has hovercrafts and bombs, and we have numbers. We have anger. And we have a symbol." Peeta looked at her. "You and Gale, whether you wanted to be or not, you're the face of resistance now. I just wanted to survive." "I know, but you did more than survive. You defied them. You showed every district that the capital can be refused. That's worth more than weapons. Katniss thought about Rue's face in the sky, about the old man in District 11 raising 3 fingers, about the peacekeepers shooting into crowds. If we fight, she said quietly, a lot of people will die. A lot of people are already dying. Every year, 23 dead children, 74 years of it. How many more generations are we supposed to watch our kids march into arenas? Katniss had no answer. Gale appeared from inside the house. He'd been listening. Peeta's right. Gale said, "We started this in the arena. We finish it by actually fighting." "How?" Katniss asked. "The capital has everything. We have nothing. We have each other." Peeta's voice was certain. "Every district. We coordinate. We organize. We show them that 12 districts united are stronger than one capital." "You sound like a rebel leader," Gale said. "Not mocking. Observational. I'm a baker's son who watched the girl I love walk into the Hunger Games. Then I watched you both refuse to play their game and survive anyway. That changed me. It changed everyone." The months that followed were preparation. Peeta organized civilian resistance in District 12, work slowdowns, supply disruptions, spreading information. Gale trained fighters in the woods, teaching hunting skills, trapping guerrilla tactics to miners willing to learn. Katniss existed in the space between. She wasn't a warrior like Gale, wasn't a politician like Peeta. She was the archer who'd shot an arrow at the game maker's pig, the girl who'd sat down and refused to kill her partner. She was the symbol neither wanted, but both needed. Haymitch provided intelligence. The capital was planning something. The Quarter Quell, the 75th Hunger Games, was coming. Special rules applied every 25 years. "They're going to rig it," Haymitch said one night. "Drunk. Always drunk now. Snow wants you back in the arena. Wants to eliminate the problem you created." "How?" Gale asked. "The Quarter Quell twist is usually predetermined, but Snow can change it, make it target you specifically. But it'll be designed to kill you both." The announcement came 6 months after the victory tour. President Snow himself delivered it on national broadcast. On the 75th anniversary of the Hunger Games, Snow said, his voice soft and deadly, as a reminder to the rebels that even the strongest among them cannot overcome the power of the capital, the male and female tributes will be reaped from each district's existing pool of victors. The words hit like a bomb. Existing victors. That meant Katniss, Gale, and Haymitch were the only options for District 12. 2 would go back to the arena. Katniss and Gale looked at each other. They'd survived the 74th Games. Now the capital was sending them back. "He's going to kill us in front of the entire nation," Katniss said. "As a lesson." "Then we make it a different lesson," Gale said. "We go back in. We show them they can't break us. We barely survived the first time. We're better now, stronger, and this time we know what we're fighting for." The Quarter Quell reaping happened on a hot summer day. Effie Trinket drew from the female victor's ball. Only one name inside. Katniss Everdeen. Then the male victor's ball. 2 names. Haymitch Abernathy and Gale Hawthorne. Haymitch stepped forward before Effie finished reading. "I volunteer." "Take my place. Gale stays here." "No. I volunteer for Haymitch." They stared at each other. Haymitch was 51 years old, an alcoholic, brilliant but broken. Gale was 19, trained, deadly. "You have a family," Haymitch said. 4 siblings. "A mother, you stay. You have knowledge. Contacts, you're more valuable here." Gale's jaw was set. "I go." "That's not a debate." Gale climbed the stage, stood beside Katniss. "We won once. We'll win again." Effie looked between them, flustered. "Well, our tributes for the Quarter Quell. Katniss Everdeen and Gale Hawthorne." Again, the crowd didn't applaud, didn't raise 3 fingers, didn't make a sound, just stared at the stage where 2 victors who'd refused to kill each other were being sent back to die. The Quarter Quell arena was designed specifically to counter Katniss and Gale's tactics. No forest, no hiding places, open terrain, a circular field with the cornucopia at the center, surrounded by water. No cover, no concealment, just exposed ground and constant surveillance. The other tributes were all victors. Finnick Odair from District 4, beautiful, deadly, haunted. Johanna Mason from District 7, fierce, angry, traumatized. BT from District 3, genius, inventor, fragile. 24 victors, all experienced. All dangerous. This is a killing field, Gale said during training. No tactics, no ambushes, just straight combat. Then we changed the game again, Katniss said. How? But she was learning that the Hunger Games could be broken. They'd done it once, they could do it again. The training sessions revealed something unexpected. Half the victors weren't preparing to fight each other. They were preparing to fight the arena itself. Finnick approached them on day 2. You two started something in your games. Sitting down. Refusing. The Capitol's terrified of you. We just wanted to survive, Katniss said. You did more than survive. You showed everyone that the system can be refused. Finnick leaned closer. Some of us have been planning, working with people outside. If you're interested in actually breaking this thing instead of just surviving it. Who? Gale asked. District 13. District 13? The district that had been destroyed in the dark days, bombed into rubble, uninhabitable. Except according to Finnick, it wasn't destroyed. It was underground, alive, armed, and ready to rebel. There's a plan, Finnick said, to break out of the arena, to extract key tributes and start the actual war. But it requires coordination, trust, and people willing to destroy the arena from inside. What do you need from us? Gale asked. What you did last time. Defy them. Make it so they can't declare a winner. Force their hand. While you're doing that, we destroy the force field. And get out. And then what? Then we go to war. Katniss looked at Gale. Saw the same expression she'd seen when he volunteered at the first reaping. Determination. Rage. Purpose. We're in, Gale said. The quarter quell started at dawn. 24 victors on pedestals. The cornucopia ahead. Water surrounding everything. The countdown began. Gale and Katniss had one job. Survive long enough for Beatty to destroy the arena's force field. Then everything else was someone else's problem. The gong sounded. Tributes rushed forward. Katniss grabbed a bow. Gale grabbed knives. They fought back to back. The same formation they'd used hunting in District 12's woods. Around them, chaos. But coordinated chaos. Finnick was protecting the weaker tributes. Johanna was clearing paths. Beatty was already working on the force field with wire and a tree. A tribute from District 1 came at Katniss. She shot him. No hesitation. No guilt. These weren't children from the districts. These were Capitol champions. And some of them were trying to kill the rebels. Gale fought a tribute from District 2. Hand to hand. Brutal. Gale was stronger, faster, trained by a year of preparing for war. He won. The force field sparked. BT's wire conducted lightning from the arena's power system into the barrier. The field shorted, exploded. A hovercraft descended. Not Capitol, Rebel District 13's insignia on the side. Now, Finnick shouted. Tributes ran for the hovercraft. Katniss and Gale ran. Behind them, explosions. The arena collapsing. Game maker control failing. They reached the hovercraft. Hands pulled them in. The craft lifted. Through the opening, Katniss saw the arena imploding. Saw Capitol hovercrafts scrambling. Saw the moment the Hunger Games broke for real. They were airborne, heading north. Toward District 13. Toward war. Inside the hovercraft, a woman waited. Gray hair. Gray eyes. Gray dress. President Almacoin of District 13. Katniss Everdeen. Gale Hawthorne. Welcome to the rebellion. The war lasted 18 months. District 13 had military capacity the Capitol hadn't expected. Hovercrafts. Weapons. An army. But more importantly, they had a symbol. The two victors who'd refused to kill each other and survived. Twice, Katniss and Gale became soldiers. Not symbols. Not politicians. Soldiers. Gale thrived. His tactical mind, his rage, his willingness to accept casualties found full expression in military command. He designed weapons, planned operations, became the rebellion's knife. Katniss struggled. She could shoot, could kill, but the cost was mounting. Every peacekeeper she killed had a face. Every bombed building held civilians. The rebellion wasn't clean, wasn't simple. Peeta had been captured by the Capitol during the arena breakout, used as propaganda, tortured, hijacked with tracker-jacker venom, until he couldn't distinguish reality from Capitol lies. When the rebels rescued him, he tried to kill Katniss, believed she was a mutt, an enemy, the boy who'd thrown her bread, who'd organized civilian resistance in District 12, who'd represented hope, broken. The final assault on the Capitol came in winter. District 13's forces plus rebel fighters from every district. They fought through streets rigged with pods, explosive traps, like a final Hunger Games arena. Tributes died. Civilians died. The distinction blurred. Gale's double detonation bomb killed Capitol children and rebel medics simultaneously. Strategic, effective, morally catastrophic. President Snow was captured in his mansion. Bound, kneeling, awaiting execution. President Coin stood on a platform above him, declaring herself the new leader. Katniss held her bow, was given the honor of executing Snow. One arrow, justice, she aimed. Thought about Rue, about Prim surviving because Katniss volunteered, about the war's cost, released. The arrow took Snow through the throat. He died choking on blood and roses. Katniss knocked a second arrow, aimed at Coin. Gale saw it, stepped forward. Katniss killed our medics. She's building the same system with different paint. She's our leader. She's the next tyrant. Katniss released. The arrow took Coin through the heart. She fell. Chaos erupted. But in the chaos, no clear successor emerged. The rebellion fractured. Some districts wanted independence. Some wanted federation. District 2 wanted to fight again. What eventually formed was fragile. Commander Paylor from District 8 became president through coalition building and exhaustion. The districts formed a confederation, semi-independent, bound by trade and defense, suspicious of central authority. The Hunger Games were abolished, the arenas destroyed, the game makers tried. But the peace was brittle, built on rage and revenge rather than hope. The cost was visible in every street, every mass grave, every child who'd watched their parents die in the rebellion. Katniss and Gale were tried for Coin's assassination, exiled, sent back to District 12. They walked through the ruins together. The seam was rubble, the meadow was overgrown. The fence was gone, burned in the war. Peeta was there, slowly recovering, learning to distinguish real from fabricated memories. He'd opened a bakery in the ruins, was feeding people, building something. Gale looked at Katniss. I'm going to District 2. Military command. Paylor needs someone to manage the Defense Council. You're leaving? I want to make sure we never have to fight this war again. That means staying ready, staying armed. That's what started this. No. What started this was the Capitol thinking we were powerless. We proved we're not. I'm going to make sure they never forget. He left. Katniss watched him go. The hunting partner who'd volunteered, who'd refused to kill her, who'd helped her start a war. Gone now, forged into something else by the violence they'd survived. Peeta found her in the ruins of her old house. You okay? No. Me neither. He sat beside her. But we're alive, that's something. Is it? I think so. We survived the games, survived the war. Now we figure out how to survive the peace. Katniss looked at him, the boy who'd thrown her bread when she was starving, who'd wanted to die as himself in the arena, who'd been broken by the Capitol and was slowly rebuilding. How do we do that? She asked. One day at a time. We feed people. We rebuild. We remember the dead without letting them consume us. We try. Katniss and Peeta rebuilt District 12 slowly, married eventually, not from romance but from shared trauma and the need for human connection after so much death. They had children, taught them about the Hunger Games, about what happened when people accepted tyranny. Gale stayed in District 2, married someone Katniss never met, became a military commander in the Confederation's defense forces. They exchanged letters occasionally. Formal, distant. The partnership that had kept them both alive was another casualty of the war. The Hunger Games never returned. The arenas were museums now, reminders, warnings. But the cost was permanent. Katniss's nightmares never stopped. Peeta's flashbacks persisted. The war had ended, but the damage was infinite. On the 20th anniversary of the 74th Games, Katniss stood in the ruins of the Reaping Square. Someone had built a memorial. 23 names. The District 12 tributes who died before her and Gale. Rue's name was there, Marvel's, all the children the Capitol had murdered for 74 years. Peeta joined her, held her hand. Do you regret it? He asked. Volunteering? Starting everything? Katniss thought about Prim, safe, alive, teaching medicine in District 13, about the arenas destroyed, about children who would never be reaped, about the cost, the bodies, the trauma, the rage that had fueled a war and left scars that would never heal. No, she said finally. I regret that it was necessary. But I don't regret doing it. That's the best answer any of us have. They stood together in the ruins of District 12 and watched the sun set over the valley where they'd grown up, where Gale had volunteered, where everything had changed. The Hunger Games were over. The capital had fallen. The system was broken. But the breaking had cost everything. And Katniss Everdeen, the girl on fire, the archer who'd refused to kill her partner, would carry that cost for the rest of her life. She'd started a rebellion, won a war, destroyed a tyranny, and lost herself in the process. But the children were safe. The games were gone. The arenas were silent. And in the end, that was the only victory that mattered. Let us know what you would like to see next in the comments below. The end.